2 years ago, I saw a picture in the circle of friends about the Civil Affairs Bureau. They recruiting a marriage counselor in the internet. I felt very novel and took the certificate of my psychological counselor to the scene to understand the situation. It turned out that this was an innovative measure implemented by the local Civil Affairs Bureau since 2016, providing free on-site counseling services for divorced couples, helping them to treat the relationship more rationally, finding the crux of the problem in the family and trying to solve them, so as to improve their ability to deal with the relationship between houses. I signed up immediately, and after an interview, training, and internship, I quickly took up my job. Since I still have my own work on weekdays, I apply for a part-time job for half a day every Saturday. There is a transportation subsidy of 50 yuan for each times, and the length of volunteer service is registered hourly on the volunteer service platform of the Municipal Civilization Office. The conversation room is located in the service hall of civil affairs, and the decoration is simple. This small room has received nearly 4,000 couples in the past 4 years. Nearly 600 couples were harmony on the spot or reconciled for divorce, effective persuasion rate 15%. At present, there are 16 persuasion counselor including me. They are all part-time volunteers recruited by society. They are all women, ranging in age from 35 to 65. Their careers range from civil lawyers, university professors, network writers, and directors of neighborhood committees to full-time mothers. And so on. Here, I also received more than 300 couples, persuaded 19 pairs, and temporarily not divorced 27 pairs. In early March of this year, due to the need for epidemic prevention, offline persuasion was suspended. In April, I received a notice to persuade me to change to online voice or video. The concrete process is, before getting divorced couples formalities, need to contact our service hotline to make an appointment, a social worker on the phone after understanding basic family situation, and the table to our marriage counseling work groups. To our work group on marriage counseling, whoever is free will take orders, and the service time is the same as the face-to-face counseling on the spot, about 1 hour each time. The epidemic has made my job more busy. In the whole April, I received orders at a low frequency and all of them were conducted through online voice service. 2 couples because of infidelity, in another case, it was because the husband could not accept his wife's endless support for his brother. In the end, all persuasion failed. At the end of the month, I received my 5th assignment. The couple are in their 40s, and judging from their family situation, they are doing well. I connected them by voice at the appointed time. As soon as I was connected, the man strongly requested the video. I was surprised, but agreed. When the lens of the phone was turned on, the couple sat side by side in front of a white wall. The beige dining table below the lens was wiped clean. The beige dining table below the lens was wiped clean. The black paper box paper towels, transparent plastic toothpick tube, and several square mouth glasses were put together. His wife, Allie, wore a simple white shirt, buttoned neatly at the collar and cuffs. She has fair skin and a long, thin face. Her patterned eyebrows are fading, and her hair is neatly combed into the back of her head and ponytail. When I was about to introduce myself, Allie spoke to the camera first. She said calmly, "My husband has to do this, but I think it's not necessary." Her husband, Lao Zhang, stood up at once and leaned close to the camera. With a bitter face, he said, "That, I want to try again." She insisted on a divorce. "Oh, I can't bear it. I have no choice but to listen to her." Lao Zhang is a big man with broad shoulders and thick arms. His faded black t-shirt stretched tight over him. His hair is cut into small flat heads. The beard is shaved and it is likely blue. Now his 10 stubby fingers were twitching nervously among themselves, like a boy bewildered by a sudden question in class. The experience of offline persuasion in the past is that the first few minutes are the hardest. Most couples who want to divorce walk into the persuasion room with reluctance, sit down without saying a word. I must take the initiative to speak out, ask, encourage and guide from all angles. They only barely spoke words like give a few short answers, sometimes answering the question, and avoid my direct look. In short, most couples refuse to communicate, just ask to complete the process as soon as possible, let me write persuade invalid, agree to divorce on the form, and sign my name, and then rush to another office to get a divorce. Lao Zhang and Ali didn't need my guide the initiative to speak, although only a short sentence, but revealed a lot of information. Experience tells me, there are a queue. As if the police found a clue to solve the case, I was vaguely excited, but I had to keep calm on the surface, smiling as if nothing had happened and asking, so, does Mr. Zhang want to divorce himself? Baffled by this simple inquiry, his fat face widened into a blank stare, and his eyes were rounded. He reflected on for a while before saying, I don't want to. When life is like sad, she is not happy, maybe she will be happy only after divorce. She is a good woman, and I will respect her choice. As he spoke, he glanced sideways at his wife's face, as if a boy were stealing his desk mate's answer in the examination room. Then he quickly withdrew his gaze and dropped his head. I was very surprised. In the course of persuasion, although the couples were reluctant to speak at the beginning when they were persuading. When they began to speak, most of them began to lash out at each other, criticizing, mocking, and even shout names each other's. Even in the presence of a stranger, they did not conceal their dislike and hatred for each other. I adjusted my breath, looked at Ali, and said slowly, I am very moved. The gentleman is so kind, and he is still thinking about his wife at this stage. This is a good man's. Unexpectedly, Ali's tears fell down, nodded, and spoke, yes, he is a good man, I know. I also admit relatives and friends, people who know him, say he is good. Lao Zhang turned to look at his wife, and he is helpless. After looking at it for a while, he reached out carefully. He probably wanted to wipe his wife's tears, but did not dare. After a moment's hesitation, he picked up the tissue box and took out a tissue and handed it to her. Although there are countless problems in my heart that gobble out, I had to wait, with professional patience and quiet, otherwise, too anxious guessing, too simple preaching or too subjective guidance will cause the other party to be disgusted. I must try to understand the real reason for their divorce. The reason for the divorce of the couple is nothing more than domestic violence, cheating, gambling, alcohol and tobacco, poor relationship between mother and wife, illness, house purchase and financial disputes, or differences in living habits and values. It is rare for a couple like this to praise each other as a good man and a good woman when they are about to divorce. As Ali wiped her tears with a tissue and calmed down, I began to carpet questioning, slowly sorting out their experiences. They came from the same small town in the north. After graduating from junior college, they went to work in the local area. They were introduced by their fellow villagers. They were married 15 years ago. Their son is now in middle school and has excellent grades. Ali is the eldest daughter in her family, and she has a younger sister who lives in her hometown with her parents. The financial conditions are decent. Lao Zhang was the only child in his family, so his parents came to the city to settle down with their son and help take care of their grandson. The two old men are in good health, easy going, and have sufficient retirement funds for their daily expenses, and have a good relationship with their daughter. The husband and wife work steadily and have plenty of money. The loan for living in a house has been paid off, and the other house invested is rented out, and the rent is just to repay the loan. I asked all the questions, and both of them were honest, and not hesitant about privacy. Their family life was so normal that there seemed to be no hint of divorce. So, what happened recently that made Ali feel compelled to divorce? As soon as I said this, Ali, who had just calmed down, was immediately excited, and slapped the table with his hand. The mobile phone was shocked, and Lao Zhang quickly held the phone, stable on the stand. Ali don't spoke to him and shouted, "An umbrella. He's messing around random again. He makes me mad. Just last night I had a fight with him, and I was so angry." She began to talk about how angry she was, her eyes scorched with anger, and her facial features twisted. After listening for a while, I was puzzled and had to interrupt her, ask questions in key details, and finally figured out the ins and outs. Last night, Lao Zhang worked overtime until 9 o'clock in the evening. After I got out of the subway, it was raining heavily. When I got home, I put my umbrella in the kitchen. Then I went to the bathroom to take a bath. Ali, originally in the bedroom watching soap opera to see drowsy, heard the movement, suddenly think of her husband love mung bean porridge, mung bean to advance with cold water overnight, porridge only soft and glutinous delicious, then climb up from bed to the kitchen bubble mung bean. In order to save electricity, she did not turn on the kitchen light, unexpectedly in the dark to kick east, but also stepped on a foot of water, frightened, quickly turn on the light, found that as an umbrella open, on the spot fried hair. Through the bathroom door, Lao Zhang explained that he thought he couldn't use the kitchen at night, so he put the umbrella there. Two people more quarrel more fierce, simply tomorrow divorce forget. I couldn't help but say, it isn't worth it. And you have to think clearly. Unexpectedly, Ali stood up and shouted at me, "How is this a small thing? The umbrella are misplaced. He always misplaces it, you know. This is a big matter in principle. Small things are negotiable, and big things I will never into concessions." I was a little unhappy, but this is also often encountered in the consultation process, so I calmed down and decided not to talk about the umbrella for the time being, so as not to be brought into the mud of chaos by Ali's logic. I changed the subject and asked, "Does Lao Zhang miss other things?" Ali sat down and took a deep breath, as if the reservoir opened the gate to release water, and began a long talk. Lao Zhang had been a soldier and his comrades scattered all over the country after demobilization. And they rarely met. One summer vacation, when the couple took their son on a trip to Beijing, Ali insisted that they should first settle down in the hotel and then look at the famous attractions of the Forbidden City. Lao Zhang insisted that he should get off the train and go to his comrade-in-arms home to visit his comrade-in-arms first and then see the scenery, and this was agreed on the phone with his comrade, and they have already prepared meals and are waiting him. The couple discussed several things on the train and nearly quarreled. In public, Ali didn't want to lose politeness, had to smile, and followed Lao Zhang as a guest. The comrades met with tears in their eyes, and recalled the life of the barracks at that time with great emotion. The comrade's wife live in Beijing, the whole a large table of dishes, in and out as a non-stop. Ali thinks Lao Zhang is ignorant, which makes people suffer so much terrible from Bai's extra work. Her heart is very sorry. When he stays for one more minute, it's tasteless. No matter what food is eaten. The two men drank from noon until the sun went down. Ali is in a hurry. Is she really going to live? The house of the comrade-in-arms is less than 50 square meters, with 2 rooms and 1 hall. Where still can live next to 3 people? She began to persuade Lao Zhang to leave quickly, but Lao Zhang refused to leave by the spirit of wine. Seeing the hostess smiling without saying a word, Ali played drums in her heart, and think others are too good cultivation, in the heart angry, but the mouth did not leak a little flaw. It was already dark. Ali stood up, holding her son in one hand and her suitcase in the other, said goodbye to everyone politely and walked firmly to the door. Old Zhang comrade in arms froze, see Ali face ugly, hurriedly hold on old Zhang. Fortunately, there is a hotel nearby, and Lao Zhang has been sent to the room by his comrade in arms, and asked a few words before going home. Lao Zhang drunk muddle-headed, a belly fire has no place to hair, and she didn't sleep a good night. And then? I asked. Old Zhang slapped his chest, and replied first, later, she would never allow me to go to Beijing again. For 7 years now, she wouldn't allow me to see any comrades in arms, saying that I was fool and would only cause trouble. When I was on a business trip, I went to watch them secretly by myself. If I let him to be found, she would scold me for several days. My heart sank, and I quickly asked. Sure enough, Ali has worked for 20 years in a company from cashier to host accountant step by step, earnest work and excellent performance, a lot of various awards, but never been a guest at a colleague's house, and rarely attended classmates, except relatives. It's absolutely necessary for a friend to marry or marry. In addition to that, she has almost no social activities, nor any interest in singing, dancing, reading, planting flowers, or even going out for a walk. She only wants to stay at home. The only one hobby is doing housework, wiping the doors, windows and floors of the house once a week, washing and drying the clothes and ironing them all with iron, even underwear and socks are no exception, thinking about recipes when you are free complete. In addition to his parents for food and picking up grandchildren, the in-laws are clothes to reach out for food and enjoy the blessings, and their predecessors praise his wife as a flower. This is indeed a hard-working, virtuous and demure good woman. Unfortunately, under the cover of these tags, Ali has already had a mild social phobia, which is manifested as a strong attempt to avoid social and obstruct social. Even if such people go to social activities, they are often anxious due to the expected anxiety. Just like Ali did not go to the home of Lao Zhang's comrades, she believed that they would be angry, and later developed to prevent Lao Zhang from seeing other comrades. Lao Zhang's normal social needs are limited and criticized, which is naturally painful. Ali believes that Lao Zhang's visit to his comrades alone is a deliberate violation of his own family rules, and he deliberately against himself. Given their age and environment, they generally can't accept the concept of mental health, and if I hurriedly say it, I fear that they will be like an enemy. It's too terrible, I have that kind of disease, or they are angry, I don't have, and you don't talk nonsense about the disease. So, I have to use the language of the easy, cautious guidance. Time has passed half an hour. I put away the homely and friendly tone before, and said solemnly, Ali, you think too much, the comrade-in-law's wife is upset, just your guess, even if she is angry. Normally everyone has the right to express their emotions. That's not a big deal, and it's not your fault. You don't have to blame yourself. Lao Zhang's meeting with his comrades is the normal social needs and behavior of men. You shouldn't to block because you are worried. The husband and wife at the same time wide eyes exclaim. Ali shout is, oh, I really blame myself for a long time. Teacher, how do you know? Is that really not my fault? Really? I nodded. She was relieved and half-confident, and fell into contemplation. Many people have been psychologically self-critical because they believed in stricter self-discipline. Once the truth is revealed, it is really surprising and needs to be accepted slowly. Old Zhang shouted, "Oh teacher, you are so good. I will tell one more thing, teacher, you will judge and solve for me." Lao Zhang is now a civil engineering engineer. He will follow wherever the company's projects are done. He earns a lot of money and works even harder. He is very toilsome. He eat and live in simple work sheds, and air-conditioned mobile homes are high-end hotels. In over 20 provinces in China, there is only 1 month of Chinese New Year holiday every year. Every year home reunion, according to the truth that the couple should meet after a long separation, should be sweet, but after he took the door, he is disappointed when they stay at half an hour. And will soon quarrel, because Ali always dislikes him and put the suitcase in the wrong place. He shouldn't be thrown in the living room. I asked Ali, "So, where exactly should I put the suitcase?" Ali was stunned, and her eyes dodged. "I can't hold back, you are the hostess, you specify a correct position for the suitcase. Since you don't say, I will help you choose, behind the sofa? On the top of the wardrobe? Next to the son's desk? Under your bed?" She paled and shook her head violently. "No, no, you can't put it there, it's wrong to put it there." I did not waver, and continued to ask, "There is also an umbrella last night, where should I put it? Let the balcony? Does it affect the clothes you hang? Put it in the door, will the neighbor be angry? Put it in the bathroom, will you trip at night?" She clasped her hands over her eyes and cried hysterically, "I don't like it anywhere. I've had enough of this. I don't want this life." She cried to her heart crack lung, "Let me." This bystander cannot help but red eyes. Fortunately, in just a few seconds, I managed to regain my composure and return to calm and rational work. This time, Lao Zhang did not take a tissue to her, but put his head deep to the other side. I can only see the veins in his neck. Ali finally expressed the deepest pain in her heart, the label of good woman she had been carrying for too long, but the beautiful and morally correct coat could never fill the grievances and anger deep in her heart. Her husband has been absent for a long time, and she is too tired to run a 3-generation family of 4 alone. She longed to whine and spoil her husband like other women, but wouldn't whining and spoiling seem reasonable enough? Would it tarnish her image? She was in a dilemma, struggling with herself, caught in a paradoxical situation, unable to say. Umbrellas, suitcases, and all the other bad habits of my husband, littering, smoking in the house. Lao Zhang is a migratory bird who comes back to live for 1 month every year, like an outsider, all kinds of dirty and messy. The bad habit like a tramp is obvious, and it does destroy the tidiness and order that the family had maintained for 11 months. So she took advantage of the question and publicly accused her husband of not respecting her and her hard work of housework. Such accusations can be supported by her in-laws and sons in terms of emotion and reason. At the same time, the unspeakable secret grievances and dead anger in her heart can finally be vented smoothly. Lao Zhang did not understand. When they were apart, they talked and laughed on the phone and on the video. Wang's friends all admired him for having a capable and virtuous wife. But when she did get home, she was suddenly a different person, severe and impatient. Everything in the house was put in order by his wife. He made mistakes every time he raised his hand and acted. He was scolded by his wife from morning till night. Instead of enjoying the warmth of the home that I longed for, I felt that I was a superfluous person and would rather be comfortable and happy in the king's land. Is it only when he does not come home and they are far away that there can be peace and love? Lao Zhang asked his parents to burn incense in the temple every year, but it was of no use. Perhaps the suffering of sentient beings is too much for Bodhisattva to handle? He admits that his wife is capable and does not worry about anything, but he is not bad. He hold on all money to his wife, as a man, is not enough? I told Lao Zhang, no matter how capable a strong woman is, deep down she longs to be a little woman in front of her husband, longing for his gentleness, tenderness and consideration. Lao Zhang folded his hands and spoke, but she never said, she didn't tell me, how do I know what she really think? I've heard this a lot in couples mediation and asked, what if she says it? Lao Zhang scratched his head, hissing like a toothache. I guessed that even if his wife said it, he didn't know how to give it. Because he is a rough guy on the construction site, he is good at playing with bricks, cement, and steel bars, and he can't be beaten by any complicated architectural drawings. But he could not understand a woman's little thoughts, and then he became angry and more loudly than his wife. So, if the divorce happens, he plans never to get married again, because he really doesn't know how to get along with women day and night. The two quarreled for the first time when their son was 1 year old. Lao Zhang visited his relatives at home, too late to wash his hands and change his slippers. When the suitcase was thrown, he had to hug his son tightly and kissed him. Ali took the son, scolded him for not talking about hygiene, and dirty his son. The son was so scared by the yelling of two adults. So noisy, I can't take it anymore. The idea of divorce has been around for a long time, but it was only delayed because the son was too young and the parents of both parties tried hard to oppose it. Under Ali's precept and example, his son is very good, clean, polite, and understands the life of adults. There is no mischief that is common to young boys of the same age. He is always gentle and has good grades, so he is liked by teachers. From first grade to now, he has been the monitor. Last spring festival, his son solemnly advised his parents, don't quarrel, divorce. The parents of both parties were exhausted by them, and both agreed, so the couple wrote the divorce agreement. Lao Zhang only needed the smaller one of the two houses, and everything was given to Ali, including the family deposit and the big house. The son lives with Ali, because the son and mother have a deeper affection, and Lao Zhang's occupation simply cannot take good care of his son. Lao Zhang's monthly support for her mother and son is very generous. In this way, Lao Zhang is indeed a kind man. I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau the next day to go through the formalities. I never expected to have a marriage counseling session. I had never heard of it, but since it was free, the couple decided to try it. Under the guidance of my colleague, another marriage counselor, the couple wept together and decided to listen to the advice, borrow each other's good character, and try again. This spring festival, because of epidemic prevention, Lao Zhang's vacation was unprecedentedly extended for up to 3 months. After going to work in April, because of the inconvenience of going out, I went to the company's headquarters to do internal work and do engineering design. In these months, the husband and wife from 3 days a quarrel developed to 3 a day. Lao Zhang spilled cigarette ash on the floor, littered to the bed of dirty socks, can let Ali's dead anger like a volcano. Lao Zhang couldn't help to quarrel with her, so the more noisy and fierce. The two old people did not know who to help, and who to let shut up. The son again advised his parents to divorce. In despair, Lao Zhang thought of the marriage counselor, so he volunteered for the video. In the last 10 minutes, I carefully gave advice. My husband should change his work style, and he stopped working in the field. The two sides completely ended the long-term separation model and started to create a normal family life. No. The two men spoke with determination. So I know there is no way to recover, but still ask why. The two men scrambled to answer. Out of sight, I don't want to see him. Isn't it good for me to take the children alone? I hope. Ali talked endlessly. To live with her is to suffer, it's better to live on the site every day, I would rather. Lao Zhang also talked. As I listened, I realized that in addition to the above-board reason of more money is earned in out, the real reason was that the husband was drifting from place to place and the wife was keeping the house alone. In fact, both of them were both happy and disgusted, dependent and resistant to the hard life of separation. Eager for a better future and fearful of the pain and risk of change, they maintain a fragile balance of contradictions that, once broken, leaves them unable to confront their true selves, which are covered by life's surface trivialities. I find this in many divorced couples as well. Just bystanders see, I can do nothing. So I had to give up and make another suggestion. Since Ali loves and is good at housework, next time, could you offer to help my husband pack his suitcase and umbrella? Ali objected, packing the suitcase and umbrella is his own business, his own things to do. Is a child understand the basic principles of life? Many difficult and complicated things I have to solve alone, I can do, why he cannot do it? So I wouldn't have helped him in the past and I wouldn't have helped him in the future. He had to do it himself. I asked Ali, a colleague of your company, someone smokes indoors? Is there a black line of greasy hair and a greasy collar? Can you tolerate them? Ali is surprised to see me, do not understand why I suddenly ask an 8 straight dozen not of question, but still polite answer, of course, leadership, subordinate all have, man, this kind of phenomenon a lot of very normal, I can tolerate of it. If I can tolerate the shortcomings of my colleagues, why can't I tolerate my husband? Ali crossed her fingers, and her shoulders shivered slightly. Her voice trembling and she said incoherently, how to do? Me too. I suspect that I really had that problem. Oh, my God, I don't know what to do. Ali also discovered that she is very kind and tolerant to her colleagues and neighbors, that is, she cannot treat Lao Zhang with the same standard, because she feels that since he is a husband, he should be different from other men, and he must listen to everything. In his own words, everything is the best, no matter how small, so if he does a little badly, Ali will lose her temper. She clearly knew that it was wrong for her to ask her husband this way. It was even more unreasonable to be angry, but she couldn't control herself every time, and regretted blaming herself when she was angry. Such a vicious circle is about to collapse. She told me all this, her face full of fear and helplessness, like a little girl who woke up from a nightmare and found her mother not by her side. I said, yes, like the folklore of the evil, how can not get rid of that cycle, very painful, is it? She nodded, tears falling silently. Lao Zhang turned sideways to look into her face, shook his head in disgust, folded his arms, and turned his head once more deeply to the other side, ignoring her. Across the screen, I couldn't help but want to reach out and hand Ali a tissue. Obsessive-compulsive disorder is a kind of pursuit of the perfect performance. The average person only know repeated hand-washing, repeated behavior forced several stairs, but there is another as the concept of force, is at a certain idea on the idea of the pursuit of absolute perfection, and think that the notion of the absolute perfect is not correct, so eager to get rid of, but they can't do that, with ring reciprocating endless, so abnormal pain. Considering the language, I tried to persuade Ali to accept the psychological counseling service. If the persuader found that a certain party would cause a divorce due to mental health problems, it would be referred to the psychological counselor. The first consultation is free, and the subsequent costs are negotiated by both parties. The couple I received last year was the woman's obsessive-compulsive disorder, which asked the man to keep taking pictures to report whereabouts in real time. As many as 20 times a day, the man could not stand and asked for a divorce. Later, I referred to the consultant. The relationship between husband and wife is normalized. Unfortunately, Ali refused. Lao Zhang remained motionless, expressing his approval of his wife's decision with silence. Marriage is a mirror, reflected from the spouse, but also a part of oneself, and an imperfect part. There are cases, but not many, of people who naively assume that divorce makes them all better off. More often, they find that their lives have not been made any better by divorce. When they get into their next marriage, 9 times out of 10 they will repeat the same mistake, because their own problems haven't been fixed. I sighed and asked him one last question: "Do you love him?" Both lowered their eyes and shook their heads, slowly but surely. They added in a few words what had happened during their courtship. At that time, both of them felt that the other was not their ideal lover, but because their own conditions were not so good, and they were both nearly 30 years old, they could not afford to delay any longer, so they made do with getting married. After more than 10 years, the two people, with their good personalities, actually maintained their families as they were. Even after a quarrel, when I had just accumulated my grievances toward each other to the critical point that was about to erupt, Lao Zhang's vacation was over, and the two of them sighed in relief, say goodbye to each other. But this time, as long as 4 months of day and night together, let the thin emotion was finally worn away by intensive quarrel. The situation is not unusual this year. The epidemic has trapped people at home, leaving many couples with marital problems unable to escape and intensifying tensions. A few of us counselor privately said that these couples usually went to work separately, so busy that they had no time to quarrel. They stayed at home for too little time, out of sight, out of mind, and unable to quarrel. Now every day in front of the sheikh, hide not to fall, more see more come gas, anyway idle in the home have nothing to do, just as the new account old account calculate together, divorce process also accelerated. I've tried my best. Marriage persuasion is not all about persuasion. If we really can't live together, we will let them get together and part. It's time for me to conclude by saying that I hope they can still be friends after their divorce, and that they can learn from this failed marriage and move on to a better life. After I turned off the video, I typed on the platform, "Persuasion was invalid, I agreed to divorce," and then I signed my electronic badge. Later, I asked the staff at the divorce office and learned that Ali and his wife had officially filed for divorce the day after the video ended with me.